Alright, we've drawn most of it. We just need to go in and do some filletings, and then we need to make it nice and clean and do our hatch, etc. So one thing you can do is you can leave the projection lines on. Remember, they don't show up when you print, or if they're driving you nuts, which they sometimes do to me, you can just click on the light bulb and turn them off so they're not getting in your way. And then I'm going to do a little trimming up because, again, it's driving me nuts. Actually, let's just offset at 0.25 instead of 0.5. I like to keep mine cleaned up at least, where it's not so messy. Trim space bar. Oops, no. Lord have mercy. Try again. Straight line across. That's better. Okay, there we go. Trim space bar. Trim space bar. Oh goodness gracious, nope. Need to extend that. Not trim. Now I'll trim. I have to erase that because you can't trim that because it's its own separate line. Keep that going that direction. We don't need that line anymore. And we need to do the same for this bottom part here. Trim spacebar. Sometimes they do it more than once. Those going up. Okay. Interesting. I don't know what does that. All it did is drew me a line there so I can extend it out. The neater all this is, makes it easier when you get ready to dimension it. Alright, last thing I have that I need to draw before I do my dimensioning is my hatch marks up here. So I'm going to change my layer to hatch. And I'm going to go to the hatch tool, which is right here underneath the draws, that little funny little drawing one. Click on hatch. And it's going to pull this up, and a lot of students think this is all they're stuck with. It's not. If you click the drop down here, you can go pick from about 75 different defaulted ones, and you can always load more in. We're going to stick to the regular. ANSI. Pick the area it needs to go. And it's telling me that it's not quite connecting there is what that's telling me. So I'm going to hit enter. Undo. Control Z. Sometimes you'll find that you think those corners are connected and they're not. I'm going to do a chamfer with a trim 0, 0. Let's see if it'll let me do it that way. Sometimes you can just transfer these suckers. Ah, there it is. good. Okay, now let's try it again. Hatch. Here it needs to hatch. Here it needs to hatch. And if you need to change your scale, here's where you change your scale. Maybe it needs to be 2. In this case, we're going to leave it at 1. Sometimes you may need to put it at 10. Maybe it needs to be 6, etc. Okay, so there we go. Now, we need to get this into our title block. And this is where students have a tendency to struggle, because this one is going portrait instead of landscape. So when students try to draw it and they try to get in the title block and it doesn't fit and they get very upset and they're like, what do I do? How do I make this work? Etc. So here's my title block, right? And right now it's going horizontal, or it's going landscape. We need to go portrait. So I'm going to type in page. It's going to pull the page settings so I can go and modify it. Right here where it says landscape, I'm going to click portrait. See what it did? It changed the direction of my paper. Rotate tool, select the whole thing. Enter, bottom right hand corner, and 90. 90, enter. And then of course move it to fit inside there. Now it's just a matter of doing your layout and everything else like you normally would. So border, and border current, layout, rectangular, rectangular, corner to corner, come on. Move your mouse and select it. Right click properties and make sure it's a 1:1 scale. It hasn't been changed. See, it's like a 0.101. We want 1:1, plain old 1:1. And then it's just a matter of then going in and dimensioning like you have everything else. I will notice and tell you a couple things that I see right here. We're missing the fillets that should be in these corners, those little curved edges. So let's go do that real quick. So I go back to my model space, my home tab, and go to my fillet tool. Change it to fillet. And there's multiple radius, 0.12. Oh no, the line went away. Don't panic, just go back and redraw it. That's what I was telling you about sometimes when you would trim and put things in there, because it does that. It'll consume the other part of the line, the rest of the line. There we go. That one's easy to fix. I just do the extend to pull it in, right? Extend, extend, spacebar. Sometimes you have to do it more than once. And then I can just repeat that process here. It's just a matter of hitting the extend key and hitting the part it needs to go over. Okay, no big deal. Okay, we've got all that. So remember, because if you do it in whatever you do in model space, is going to be linked over here in paper space. All right, next I want to do a couple offsets just so I have a good, nice lined up for my text. That's all it is. It's just a temporary. And let's offset 0.5. Only because I just want something to reference to when I start dimensioning here in a second. I'm actually going to delete them because I only need them for a little while. I don't need them very, very long. It's just to help to give me some guidelines. So when I'm talking about my guidelines is I'm going to my dimension layer, and I'm going to do my linear dimension, and I want to do a dimension from here to here to there. See how it's lining it up? Enter key, corner to corner to that line. And then I want it outside, outside. All they are is they're just temporary lines that I'm putting so that I know that they're equally spaced at the same instrument increments, and it makes my drawing and my dimensioning so much easier to do. That's all they're used for. Now, I've had students ask me, why do I not show the diameter of the larger and smaller circle below? Well, if you pay attention, you remember when we went over dimensioning and how to not over-dimension, we can show those diameters by drawing their widths and their depths up here in a different view. Okay, I need to do linear. From that corner to that corner, out, out, out that way. There we go. And I just use that line as a reference for me to look at. Dun, 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 dun. Come on to the side. There we go. And again, see how they're lined up, because you always keep your dimensions lined up, for the love of God. Don't forget those simple little tools. And then the rest are radius and diameter and a liter. For example, like right here. FA to turn that off, because now I want to kind of like place it wherever I would like it. And make sure it's staying at 0.12. Make sure the text is Arial. By layer. Middle center. And it's note. All. Fillets and rounds are 0. Our radius of, we're going to click to the outside. That was real hard, right? Come on. Remember to space over to the front of it and put the parentheses too, because there's 2 of them. And our last liter, I'm actually going to copy this liter. I'm going to go to Control C and Control V it, simply because I don't want to have to do all that formatting again, and you don't have to do that. Because I can do it once. And put it when it's supposed to say. It's supposed to be 0.38 by 0.19 keyway. Click to the outside. So now all you need to do is come down here and change the date. The date and title and date. The title for this one will be problem 10. Sorry, I even forget. Number 10. Peter Cam. Change your date. Change your name. Change the points. The points for this one is only 50 points. Change the class name. Is it whatever section you're in? Change your professor's name. Go back in the model space. Get rid of all of those lines that we put in there, just so that we could have a reference to make dimensioning easier, is all they were there for. See, now they're gone. You see what we're supposed to see. So now I'll go in and save this, print this out so I have a hard copy to look at, and submit the electronic copy both. So I need to look at both to make sure we're not cheating, and I can check things. And you've done problem number 10, sectionals. That's how hard it was to do a section. The key thing, if you remember, with sections when you're doing it in AutoCAD is if that line, section, etc. is open in any way, shape, or form, it will not work. It's going to give you an error message. All right, congratulations, you just problem 10, your first sectional.